cannot calm the storm until you calm yourself. There is a silent pain almost everyone carries. Not visible, not spoken, but heavy. The pain of holding on. Holding on to people who changed, to memories that hurt, to mistakes we cannot undo, to a version of life that no longer exists. And the harder we hold, the more we suffer. Stoic philosophers understood this thousands of years ago. They believed most human suffering does not come from loss itself, but from our refusal to let go. Because deep down, we want permanence in a world built on change. But nothing stays forever. Not youth, not relationships, not success, not even life itself. And maybe true peace begins the moment we finally accept that.
Modern life teaches us attachment. We attach our happiness to outcomes, to approval, to money, to status, to people. We say things like, I need this to work. I can't lose them. I can't move on. And slowly, our peace becomes dependent on things we cannot control. That is why so many people live in constant anxiety. They fear losing what they love. But Stoicism teaches something uncomfortable. Everything you love, you will eventually lose. Not because life is cruel, because life changes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change." And yet most people resist change with all their strength. They replay old conversations in their minds. They obsess over the past. They cling to pain because pain feels familiar.
Sometimes people don't hold on to memories because they are beautiful, but because they are afraid of emptiness without them. So they carry emotional weight for years. A betrayal, a breakup, a failure, a regret. Like chains around the soul. And the tragedy is, life keeps moving while they remain emotionally frozen. Stoics believed attachment becomes dangerous when it controls your inner peace. Because once your happiness depends on external things, you become fragile. The world can take those things away at any moment. A person can leave, a career can collapse, a dream can fail. And if your identity is attached to them, you collapse too. That is why letting go is not weakness. It is survival.
But Stoicism does not teach emotional coldness. It does not say, do not love, do not care, feel nothing. No. Stoicism teaches something deeper. Love fully. But understand that nothing is permanent. Enjoy what you have without believing you own it forever. This changes everything. Imagine holding water in your hands. If you squeeze tightly, it escapes faster. But if you hold gently, it stays longer. That is how Stoics approached life. Not with desperation, but with acceptance. Epictetus once said, "Never say about anything, 'I have lost it,' but 'I have returned it.'" Think about how powerful that idea is. What if the people in your life were never possessions? What if they were gifts, temporary experiences entrusted to you for a brief moment in time? Suddenly, gratitude replaces fear. You stop trying to control everything. You stop panicking over change. You stop demanding permanence from an impermanent world. And slowly, you begin to breathe again. Because letting go is not about forgetting. It is about releasing the illusion of control. The Stoics understood something modern society often ignores. You cannot control life, only your response to it. Not the storm, only how you stand in the rain. Not who leaves, only how gracefully you heal. Not the ending, only the meaning you create from it. And when you finally understand this, a strange kind of freedom appears.
Imagine a tree during autumn. What if the people in your life were never possessions? What if they were gifts, temporary experiences entrusted to you for a brief moment in time? Suddenly, gratitude replaces fear. You stop trying to control everything. You stop panicking over change. You stop demanding permanence from an impermanent world. And slowly, you begin to breathe again. Because letting go is not about forgetting. It is about releasing the illusion of control. The Stoics understood something modern society often ignores. You cannot control life, only your response to it. Not the storm, only how you stand in the rain. Not who leaves, only how gracefully you heal. Not the ending, only the meaning you create from it.
And when you finally understand this, a strange kind of freedom appears. The leaves do not fight to stay. They fall when it is time. And because they let go, the tree survives winter. Humans are different. We hold on to dead seasons. We keep trying to revive things already gone. Relationships that ended emotionally long ago. Dreams that no longer fit who we are. Versions of ourselves we have already outgrown. And in doing so, we resist our own growth. Sometimes letting go feels terrifying because it creates uncertainty. Painful familiarity often feels safer than the unknown. Even suffering can become comfortable. But Stoics believed courage begins where attachment ends.
Because when you release what no longer serves you, you create space. Space for clarity. Space for peace. Space for transformation. And here is the paradox. The more you cling to life, the more fear controls you. But the moment you accept impermanence, life becomes lighter. You appreciate moments more deeply because you know they will end. A sunset becomes more beautiful. A conversation becomes more meaningful. A hug becomes sacred. Because nothing lasts forever. Even you. Stoics reflected on death not to become depressed, but to awaken gratitude. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Not as a threat, as liberation. Because when you realize time is limited, you stop wasting emotional energy chasing control. You stop holding grudges for years. You stop obsessing over opinions. You stop delaying your happiness. You become present, fully present. And maybe that is the real art of letting go. Not losing everything, but understanding that everything was temporary from the beginning and loving it anyway. There is a quiet strength in people who know how to let go. Not because they feel less, but because they understand life more deeply. They understand that suffering increases when we demand permanence from temporary things. So instead of resisting change, they move with it, like water, soft but unstoppable. The Stoics knew that peace is not found by controlling the world. Peace is found by releasing your attachment to what you cannot control. And that includes the past, other people, outcomes, expectations. Sometimes the greatest act of courage is simply saying, this chapter is over. Not with bitterness, not with hatred, but with acceptance. Because life is constantly asking us to evolve.
And evolution requires release. The old version of you must disappear for the new version to emerge. Just as night gives birth to morning, just as winter gives birth to spring, letting go is not the end. It is transition.
So if you are carrying something heavy right now, a memory, a regret, a person, a pain you cannot stop revisiting, ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped fighting reality? What would happen if you accepted that some things were only meant to be temporary? Maybe peace has been waiting for you on the other side of release. Because in the end, the art of letting go is not about losing what matters. It is about understanding that true strength comes from remaining at peace, even when life changes. And perhaps that is what the Stoics were trying to teach all along, that nothing truly belongs to us. Only this moment does. And even this moment is already passing away.